I can create this bot and then I can upload everything, and students don't need to go outside of the class at all, because they often go to YouTube to search for tutorials. And sometimes they find something that even confuses them even more because they are beginners. So if you are a beginner and you are trying to watch a tutorial that includes information that you don't need, it confuses you more. So I have certain things that I want to suggest them, and I think this would be a great tool to create for them and include only what they need.
Welcome to AI Fishbowl, the show where you get to watch as we coach and train education professionals to solve their problems using AI tools.
So get ready to elevate your educational practices with AI Fishbowl with me, Audrey, Ellis, and Zia Hassan.
Audrey, how are things going?
Things are good. It's Wednesday. I'm excited. We just got off a call with an amazing faculty member from a community college.
That's right. I gave a keynote back in January at Montgomery College, and Michaela Pacesova, who's our guest today, was in the audience and was very intrigued. She's a computer science person. She teaches intro to computers to C++. And so I was really curious to see how she might use some of these tools. What was your reflection on speaking with her, working with her?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always humbling to talk to someone who teaches programming when I don't program and I'm about to try to teach them something about technology. So she was an amazing learner and participant. And we created a bot that is really meant to help students navigate her class. Programming, she shared with us, and as I can imagine, is a very complex and kind of like stacked competencies. And so we tried to really think about how we could make the bot think about accessibility, reducing jargon, being really like available for any type of learner. And it was fun to kind of embed that with the more technical stuff of like, read the syllabus, know the due dates, and all of that.
Yeah, the thing to think about is that if you're somebody who works with students on a technical or even a non-technical subject where students can sometimes be, they sometimes lack the skill. No, they sometimes struggle to be resourceful. And I was like this as a student too. I had to learn how to be resourceful. I had to learn how to use Google. I mean, I was in college in the early 2000s, so it's like there wasn't much out there. There wasn't YouTube to teach me how to do things. And so I had to, really figure it out on my own. And because we live in this app-driven world, I think a lot of students, especially when they're learning something like programming, they're like, if there's no app to show me how to do this to solve my problem, like, how do I do it? So they get stuck. And so what Michaela is dealing with now is, how do I create a bot in a way that students can interact with it and actually get some assistance with thinking through how to like work through the syllabus, how to solve problems, what resources might be available other than me. So they're not just left with like a blank Google search. They're left with a bot that's trained on my course content, which is what you're going to see us do today.
Yeah, and I think you're definitely right. Like the ability to ask for help is it's a learned competency. Like if no one's modeled that for you growing up, you might not know to do that. I feel really lucky. My parents were like drilled into me from a young age, like ask for help. People want to help you. And when I worked at a community college, just like constantly, it's not even just asking for help when you're stuck on a problem. Like if you're hungry, if you are tired, like there are resources. And at community colleges, we are thinking about students' basic needs, their fundamental needs, like everything holistically. And so that's really what we got into the weeds on today is like, how can we also make sure this bot knows about the resources that Montgomery College, like coaching that they have for students. And I think she's going to take this and she has the whole summer to now kind of run with it and hopefully make it even more robust.
That's right. So without further ado, please enjoy our conversation with Michaela Pacesova. Hi, Michaela.
Hello.
Michaela, thank you for joining us from your beautiful backyard. Where are you located?
I'm in Rockville, Maryland.
Great. Well, excited to have you on our third episode of the AI Fishbowl. Would love to have you just tell us a little bit about yourself, what institution you work at, and what you do.
Yeah, so my background is actually in e-learning. Before I started teaching, I had my own e-learning business, which I still do have. So I have worked with variety of clients on creating e-learning for their teams. And then since my business was remote for many years, I got a little lonely and I decided I want to teach. I always wanted to teach, but that was the time when I actually applied and I started teaching at Montgomery College. So I have been there for a year and a half now. I teach computer science classes, so it's introduction to computer concepts and then some introductory programming classes.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you as our first faculty member aside from Zia, who also is a faculty member. I caught myself, but really excited to have you. And Montgomery College is a community college in Maryland. So really excited and want to hear a little bit about what your comfort level is right now with generative AI. If you could rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being like you should be teaching us and we shouldn't have this podcast, 1 being you don't know what AI is.
So I think I would say probably like a 3.
Okay.
I have tried AI. I have tried several tools and I do use it a little bit for my teaching. So I have tried ChatGPT and some other tools and I'm trying to learn more how I can use it in the classroom and not only in the classroom, but how to use it in my work, like as a teacher, because I know that there are a variety of uses and I think that I can really save time and make my classes better if I use AI. So again, maybe like a 3. I have tried it before, but I would like to learn much more and I would like to become very competent and, take all the advantages that it offers.
I just have one more question about that. When you obviously bring the e-learning background. Did you have a lot of training when you became an instructor at Montgomery College in like how to teach or how to put together your materials? What was your training like in that sense?
So to answer that, it's interesting that you are asking. To answer that question, no, I did not have much training. I am actually doing some training now. So I am in a fellowship program where I am learning how to teach. But as I said, I have been there for a year and a half and I looked outside of Montgomery College for some training opportunities because my background is in instructional design. So I know about learning science and stuff, adult learning, but all the stuff I have done was for e-learning, not for in-person teaching. So that's what I'm trying to also, look for how to find better ways how to teach in person and bring AI to the classroom so I can also teach students how to use it. But yes, no, in the beginning, I was not trained much. And what our department, I don't know if it's similar to other departments, but our particular department, they have everything set up for the instructors already. So they use Blackboard templates where all the content is already created. So I am not required to bring my own content or to create my content. I am just required to teach the class.
Okay.
But I do create some additional resources for my students and for my teaching. Okay. So I don't use only what's given to me, but I am trying to also bring something more to the class.
Yeah, and I asked because I think it's pretty standard. It's not like a knock against Montgomery College. Like would be so hard to train are you adjunct or full-time?
Adjunct. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know how possible it could be to really do in-depth training, but I think ChatGPT could be a great support system, especially if you don't have a background in instructional design, for someone who's maybe like in the field all the time as an accountant, wants to teach an accounting class. It could be a great way to have like a thought partner on your schedule to kind of bulk up some of your teaching skills. But I digress. I'm curious to hear from you about what we can help you with today. Is there a specific task or like element in your teaching that you want to try to use AI to enhance?
So I was thinking about this and I don't know if there is exactly like one specific thing. What I struggle with the most, I would say in the class is motivating students, how to complete their work, how to complete it on time, and how to keep learning even when it's difficult for them. So in my classes, I have a variety of students, and I think that's one of the challenges that I have is that some of them are already advanced with technology. Sometimes they already took some classes or they took another programming class, so they know immediately what to do. And for them, it's very easy. They could even skip the class if they wanted to, probably, if there was a way for them to just skip it, because they are very. But then I have students who are completely new to not only programming but technology, and they have no idea. They cannot even grasp the simple concepts. And in programming works like math. If you don't know the basic concepts, you cannot continue to the more challenging ones because it builds on itself. So if they don't grasp the big in the beginning, if they don't understand very well the basics, they cannot really, they go downhill. Like they usually by the midterm, they are already so behind that it's very hard to catch up.
Yeah.
So for me, the challenge is to, while having those advanced students in class and those, who don't know anything, how to keep everyone motivated and how to make the class interesting for all of them.
That's a big challenge. I think we can start to tackle that today. I have a couple of ideas, Zia, of possible routes we could go. And I'm curious to hear, Zia, do you want to suggest, I guess, is there a specific, Michaela, deliverable that you're looking to get out of this? Something that you want to take away from this recording that you could use, like a worksheet, a tool, a prompt? Is there anything in particular?
Yeah, maybe a tool that would allow me to create different resources for those different types of students. That would be probably something that would be very helpful.
Okay. Zia, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah. So, Michaela, I wrote down a few things, and I want to see which of these resonate with you, because we could go a bunch of different directions today, but we do want to give you something that you can actually bring back to your classroom and use. Are you teaching in the summer, or do you start again in the fall?
In the fall,
okay,
yes.
Great. Perfect. So you have some time to think about it and plan. So I wrote down about students staying on track. That was one issue that seems to come up, and maybe AI could help us with that. I have an idea for that, but we'll go through these first. Also, what to do when they get stuck. So often I working with students, and let me know if this is an accurate portrayal of what your students are going through. They're working through a problem, they get stuck, and instead of being resourceful and like trying to, Google stuff and look it up or try again or debug or whatever, they just are like, I'm giving up. I'm not even trying now. Is that accurate, first of all?
I don't know, to be honest, because they sometimes what's their problem is they don't communicate that. So I don't know. I just know that they didn't turn in the project, for example. And when I ask them about it, they tell me, yeah, I had some issues, but I'm working on it. But Montgomery College offers a lot of help. They offer coaching, they offer tutoring. And most of the time, these students that need it most, they don't even seek for these, resources. Even when we tell them all the time, you have a coach available, they can help you. You have a tutor available, I can help you. They don't seek these resources. So what you are saying, I'm not sure why they are stuck, or if it's that they just don't do it because they don't know how, or if it's because they have other things on their plate. I don't have the answer for.
Yeah, right. It makes sense, right? They don't always tell us exactly what their issue is. We kind of have to do a little bit of extrapolating. One thing that maybe let me go through the rest, and then you tell me what resonates. Then there is the students who, and maybe this is related, that they can't grasp the basics of programming. So then they get caught in like they don't pick up the basics, but now they're expected to do more advanced things, and because they didn't like fully understand the basics, now they're just behind, and they're going to end up behind at the end of the course. Yeah, okay, I see nod there. And you said that it'd be great to have some different resources that could help them with this. So I have an idea for you today that I'll present to you, and let's see if it is useful. We can take your syllabus, and what we can do is turn it into an interactive syllabus. So meaning that, and if you're willing to share your syllabus with us, that is, we can take it and we can put it into our system, into ChatGPT, or really any generative AI tool. We use GPT here on this show, but there's Claude, there's Gemini, there's Perplexity. There's a bunch out there that do similar stuff, and they're all very good. But we can put it in there, and we can figure out a way to create a system where students can go and say, I'm really struggling with this. Like, I want to make a study schedule. And based on the way the course is laid out, here's a really good study schedule. Here's how much time you can expect to spend, and exactly in your week where you want to spend it. And we can even make, even though this is a premium feature, we could make a custom GPT that they can interact with, so that they don't, before they come to you, they are interacting with this bot that they can ask all these questions to. Now, that would require you to tell them how to use this bot. Of course, you wouldn't just hand it to them. Is there anything in there where you're like, oh yeah, that sounds like a cool idea, or maybe another idea that got sparked by what I was saying?
No, it's actually very interesting that you are talking about this, because I was thinking about doing the same thing. I just don't know how to do it, but I was thinking, yes, that would be helpful to have a bot where it's trained on the syllabus and the course content, and the students can ask it questions. So then, they get the accurate answer straight from the syllabus and they don't have to look for it. So yes,
okay,
this
great. This is a great topic. I love it. So there's a couple ways we can do it now. It might be better in some ways if you are to drive, like you load, but then again, some of the features that we have on our pro accounts may work more effectively. So I could demo it, and then if I'll show you ways to do it where you don't have to pay for a subscription, and then some ways where you can sort of train GPT. Would that be helpful? And Audrey, do you think that's a good way to
definitely
go?
Totally.
Okay, cool. So what we need for that then is your syllabus. All right. So I'm going to need your insight here as we do this, Michaela, because you obviously know your course best and you have some ideas for how to use this. So we're in GPT Pro at the moment, and we're using something called Created GPT. And at the end, I'll explain how you could potentially teach students to do this without the custom GPT. Just a few more steps. So what this is it's going to create a version of ChatGPT that is specifically trained on your document. So I'm going to give it a message, and I'm going to say, I am a course instructor for a college course on, I know it's a programming, but is it fundamentals, or what's the exact topic?
Introduction to programming in C++.
Okay, introduction to programming in C++. And I want to create an interactive syllabus. Let's start with uploading my current syllabus. And just like with ChatGPT, like regular ChatGPT, you're having a chat with this. And so it's saying, please go ahead and upload your current syllabus. Once uploaded, it'll help you integrate it. So great. So it already knows our goal. It knows what we're trying to do. So I'm going to click on the upload, and I'm going to upload your syllabus, and I'm just going to give it the message. Here is the syllabus. Okay. Now I haven't even opened this yet, so we're just going to see what happens. We'll see how it gives us to it. So it's going to give us a little bit of a description of what it's going to do with this syllabus. So it's going to act as an interactive syllabus for an Introduction to Programming C++ course, about course objectives, the lecture schedule, and course materials. It can answer student questions, constraints. So it's just saying make sure that the syllabus is correct, and I'm sure you've done that. Clear and concise answers. These are the guidelines for the bot. So we wanted to use a friendly and informative tone so that it's, it's pleasant to use for the student. And then if anything is unclear, we wanted to ask for specific details. If you've used GPT before, and I know you have some experience, you know that sometimes it makes things up and it doesn't ask questions. Audrey likes to counter that by putting custom instructions in to say, please always ask me follow-ups. But this is already assuming that we want to ask follow-ups in case the student is unclear.
Can I interject really quick? One thing that I think is really interesting is it's like creating its own parameters and making some assumptions about what a good interactive bot syllabus would be. Because it looks like all these things, it's like it's decided it should maintain a supportive and encouraging tone and all of that stuff on its own. And we didn't give it any context about like why you're making an interactive bot. So I think that one thing that we could either do before it kind of jumps to these conclusions is say, I'm having challenges with, or I want to make sure, we could frame it more positively, but like I want to make sure my students are really engaged in the material at any like competency level or any level of understanding of C++, just so that it kind of I find that when it has a little bit more of that like understanding, it performs a lot better.
So when you hear that, Michaela, what do you think should be what do you think this custom GPT should know?
I think one thing that I am missing in this syllabus is the due dates. I think I have to be added because when I created this one, it was, so I think that's important, having the due dates.
Oh, okay. It's in the syllabus. And are there any due dates at all, or is it like, are they old due dates?
Let me check.
Okay. I should open it too and see.
I wonder if you think it would be helpful to say.
No, I think I gave you a version without the due dates. I think I have somewhere. This one has just to be added.
That's okay. What we'll do is, so here's actually one thing that I'll quickly do, which is I'm going to actually, I wonder if I can, I'm just going to use regular GPT for this. And I'm going to upload the syllabus and I'm going to ask it to just give due dates, just spread them out over the course of the semester. And you don't have to use these, but that way it will give us something to work with today. Can you look at this syllabus?
And we can't see what you're typing. I don't know if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah. Here, let's see. There we go. Can you look at this syllabus and give and assign due dates to all of the weekly activities and projects and output that as a table here. And so now, okay, it's still uploading here apparently. Okay, it's like stuck. Let me try again. Okay, now it looks like it's ready. Okay. And of course, it's going to take a second to analyze this document. Now, to be clear, we're not in that custom GPT anymore. I'm just trying to give it the date so that we can play around with, and you can see what that might look like. So let it analyze. This is an editing heavy episode. I can already tell. That's okay. That's normal. Just dropped my coaster on my keyboard.
We couldn't hear it at all.
Yeah, my mic is unidirectional, so you should not be. There we go. Okay, so look at this, Michaela. You got your dates. Now it's done it in 2023, so obviously, you'd want to change that. And if we had more time, I could just say, please change that to 2024. But we'll just go with this because I feel like it's good enough. And I'm going to download this. You can see that I can download the table. So I'm going to download this table, and I'm going to go back to my my GPT, my custom that I'm making, and I'll say, it's asking me about the name, so I'll say, yes, that name is fine. And then I also want to upload a table with due dates. Please read this. Okay, so we're just saying, don't do anything special with this, just read it. So I'm sending it over. It's a CSV file. Okay. Unable to display visualization. Let's see. Can't open the CSV file. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste it directly. I wonder if I can grab that from the GPT here. Sorry, I know you can't see my screen at the moment, but I'm coming back. Here it is. All right, so now I put in, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, it's going well. Let me open it up.
Well,
it gave some schedule.
It might be just making stuff up. This is
it is. It is because I.
While Z is getting that, Michaela, I'm curious if you were to describe your students. You described a little bit to us in the coaching, but what are one or two sentences we could tell the bot about who its users might be and how it can be accommodating and accessible to them?
So they are usually first year students. So usually they take these introductory classes when they join Montgomery College. Some of them are actually dual enrollment students. So they are still in high school while taking college classes. And again, most of them, this is their first or second semester, so they are new to the college experience. Some of them have some technology background, but most of them don't. So for most of them, this is their first programming class, and they don't have experience programming.
So I think maybe, Zia, we could skip the due dates for now.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll move on to other stuff. So Michaela, what did you just say? Because I was focused on this. I'm trying to...
So most of the students are first year students at the college. So this class is their either first semester or second semester. Some of them are dual enrollment students, so they are still in high school while taking college classes, and their technology experiences or programming experiences are low. So this is usually their first programming class, and they don't have background in programming, or some of them even don't know how to use the computer very well. So that's another constraint. They don't know how to take a screenshot, for example. You would be surprised.
Okay.
Is there anything from your instructional technology background you would want to tell the chatbot to know, like best practices or specific techniques that you think it would benefit from using?
That's just for the syllabus, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay.
You can even say like reference best practices in instructional technology when you're designing it, and just see if it pulls anything in on its own.
And now I should have been specific, and I should have said, just read this and say, okay. That's a trick I use to make it not output like a ton of stuff, but now it's outputting a ton of stuff. So I'm just going to let it do that for a minute. And it also, you'll notice it's giving us some example prompts. So when you're teaching this to students, if you're like, I don't know what they're going to ask it, they might not know either. And that's something important to consider, that even if you say like, well, I made this really cool bot for you so you can look at it, they might say like, okay, but we don't know how to use it, and we don't know what to do with it. And then you'll find that no one actually uses it. So now we've got a few things in here, and it's it updated the profile picture.
Cute.
That is very cute. That's not yours. That's what it's giving us as our thing. Okay. And now for some reason it's going through the entire syllabus again. We'll edit all this out. Okay. What else before we can test it? And that's what this preview is for here. You can see it's already giving us some suggestions for different prompts students might use. But what's something that, you kind of see the general prompts here, but is there something here that you feel like, I know students are going to want to know this particular thing, I get a ton of emails about this particular thing, that we could add in now?
So I think one major thing is if they ask, how do I get help, or something similar. Like in the syllabus, there should be information about the coaching and tutoring, but for some reason, if they don't know, if they ask, where do I get help, or I'm stuck, what do I do? Something like very general. I would like to see how it replies.
Okay, need to know what to do.
Or if we can
to do when they get stuck. So maybe in this case, we could say that it could provide the information from the syllabus about, who to reach out to, but also maybe it can give them some general, depending on what their issue is, maybe some general tips on procrastination, or, it can kind of act as a little bit of like a tutor in some ways, maybe not necessarily for the content, but for just, how I might schedule work in my week, like executive function.
Yeah.
You can pull resources from the syllabus, and you can also act as a executive function coach, we'll say, to help them.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about not using the word syllabus in the title of the chatbot? I think that for many of us, we assume that's obvious, but it might not be for like a first generation student or someone who's new to the content. So maybe we could make it, and that would also allow you to expand the materials it's trained on a little bit. Like maybe we could upload a glossary of key terms or something like that, that students might get stuck on. You mentioned like the stackable blocks of learning programming. Like if they don't know this basic word, they wouldn't be able to do anything else. We could do like basic computer tips, like taking a screenshot,
Mhm.
things like that. So maybe it's just like interactive C++ buddy or like C++ course buddy or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, and it gives us a more of an expansive way to use it. That's a great idea.
Mhm.
So can we change the name to interactive C++ course buddy? I like.
Maybe we could just take out interactive too, just C++ course
Yeah,
buddy.
that's true actually, because it's inherently
reduce. And maybe one other thought is just to encourage it to not use jargon, or if it uses jargon, to also define the jargon.
not to use jargon, or if you do use jargon, well, I'll say if you do use words that are potentially jargon, make sure to clarify the definition of the words.
Perfect.
Okay. Let's see what
Is it possible to point it to some like tutorial if I have like specific tutorials?
Yes.
Like YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, that's great.
So I can list the links.
Yeah, do you have you could just use 3 as a starting point, or as many as you have? What
I can share.
Yeah, that'd be great. I need to tell it to stop.
Can you just push the stop button?
Yeah, but then does it ingest what I gave it if I press the
I
stop
think
button?
so.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it still has that. Let me just try this one again.
Oh, I see.
I'll say also just say okay. No need to regurgitate the syllabus. Syllabus. There we go.
Oh, cool.
Good ChatGPT. Good puppy.
I shared a link in the chat
great.
for one of the tutorials.
Thank you. I don't see it. Oh, the stage.
In the,
got
the
it.
stage.
Got it. Yeah. And this is a tutorial for, just so I can tell it.
This one is how to compile their first program.
Okay. And again, I'll say just say okay and keep it in your back pocket as a resource. Cool. I'm excited to test that.
Did you give it the URL?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
I was like, it's very obedient now.
Yeah, right. Forgot to give you. Yeah. That could be tricky later on when you forget and you're like, why is it not referencing that? Right. Okay. Cool. So now it's got that. And you notice also, by the way, the way I'm talking to it, you might do this already, but I'm talking to it like it's a person, even though it's not. Sometimes it'll understand me better than other times, but that way it does a pretty good job of responding to just human-esque type conversation. So, okay. So we have a few things that we have in here. Is there anything else that you want to make sure is included or?
I'm not sure. Like I would have to think about it. I'm thinking like so many things can be included. Maybe a web page for the coaching. Let me just share that.
Now, is that in the syllabus? I can ask.
I'm not sure if there's like a link to it, but I'm sharing it in the chat as well.
Just gonna see if GPT yesterday went down, and I'm really glad that wasn't today because I have 3 AI events. Let's see if it gives it to me.
I just want to add one thing here about looking at your syllabus. Michaela, it looks like you got this template from the school, right?
Yes. And that's another thing, we cannot really change much in the syllabus because that's the departmental syllabus and all the information that is there is required to be there.
Right. So the reason I just said that is there's 2 privacy policies in here for Microsoft and LinkedIn. So something just to be careful about before you maybe like start using this is to figure out with your department if there would be a reason why you would need to add like a privacy policy for ChatGPT, if the students would then be using ChatGPT. But like, I don't think that did you say you have Blackboard?
Yes.
So like there isn't necessarily a Blackboard privacy policy, but just like something to keep in mind. We don't want we don't want to coach you to do something problematic. Also, what is going on with
I don't know. That's such a weird.
the logo like stretched out.
That is so weird.
GPT is a little glitchy today.
Yeah, I know. It's like when you want it to work, right? There's also, by the way,
it's authentic.
Yeah. So but it's remember it's got everything in memory that we've given it so far. I'm just refreshing it occasionally to see. There is a configuration. What is this? There is a configuration setting. Maybe I'll use DALL-E to generate an image. Maybe that's what's going on. We can change pieces about it. Conversation starters, like these things here that show up automatically. We can, if there's certain things you want to add, we can do that. It's got some knowledge base here, and then you can see down here it's also got a code interpreter, so we could end up adding that in, meaning that like you could actually have them put in code and ask for help. Do you want to just add that? We could just add that in right now.
We can test it and see
what
happens.
I mean, if there's an easy problem you can give us. Okay, I feel like we have enough that we could great. Okay.
That's pretty creepy.
That is creepy. I like how all AI stuff, it's always like some weird looking robot. Even though it's just a computer app. Okay, let's pretend we're a student now, Michaela, and you know your students well. What's a question they might have? Let's start with that and see what our bot gives us.
We can test the due date. So let's say, when is project 2 due?
Now, I think we actually didn't put in a due date for this one because, well, let's do this. Let's say how many big projects are there?
Okay. There are 5 projects.
Okay. Project 1 is due. We can say project 1 is due I'll just say during week 3, and project 2 during week 5. And I know that may not be actually what it is for you, but that way it'll have that knowledge and you can always change it later.
I did notice that in the configure tab, it did have the saved CSV. So it's possible that it like does know it. So I'm actually curious like what the due dates would be if you asked it.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. It's analyzing right now, but I think we can test it while it's updating the course schedule. Okay. Let's see. Does it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right, Audrey. It looks like it actually did. Okay, cool. So I'm going to say, okay, when is project 2 due?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's thinking.
Giant. What is going on?
I do not know.
I've never seen it do that. Can you go to test, like out of the preview? Can you click on like
create
the little dots? Click on the 3 dots, and then no. I
think this is the test. I can create it and make it public. I mean, not public.
I see. Create. Yeah. I was thinking by create you meant like create a new one. Can we do that? And like
see why it's not.
I don't know what's going on here.
So let me try one thing. I'm gonna try
on vacation.
I'm gonna try I'm just going to click on one of the, okay. So weird. Okay. I'll click create and I'll try it.
I've really heard that this is possible that it can start happening more right now because 4.0, ChatGPT 4.0 is now more available. So the demand is higher and like the functionalities of what they're doing.
Oh, look, it's doing something.
Higher.
All right. Well, now we'll just see it here. So, okay. So let's say, when is project 2 due?
That's better.
There we go. The end of week 6. The exact due date is not specified in the syllabus, so please check the Blackboard. So that. All that means is that when you add that in, it'll know what to say. I'll try one here. I need help. I'm stuck on an assignment. What are my options? All right. So it comes up with the contact information.
That's correct.
Tutoring and this is the link you sent us, right? Yeah, and it's got some other ideas. Now, one thing we could tell it that just came to my mind is we could tell it that the preference is to do whatever it can before it suggests contacting you, because I think right now you're like, I don't want to be contacted for every little thing.
I'm curious, Michaela, would you rather them reach out to you or try out these other things first?
Well, I think the preferred option is always to try on their own.
Yes.
And if they cannot figure it out, then contact me.
Okay, course.
Right now, I don't have that many students to be contacting me with questions that I find not necessary. Like I'm not that overloaded. I know that some professors,
Sure.
especially if they teach, like maybe full-time professors who teach more classes, they get overwhelmed. Right now, students don't really ask me unnecessary questions, so I don't mind it. But I think they should learn to try figuring it out on their own first, reach out to the resources that are available to them, and then reach to the instructor if they cannot find a solution.
Great.
Makes sense.
So I just, and that's how I feel too as an instructor. So because students really will, like, the minute some students, like the minute they hit a block, they're like, oh, I'm just going to email my professor. And like, that's fine. Like you're saying, like if you have like a few students and it's an occasional email, I don't mind. But when you have like 2 sections of 25 students each, like I had last semester, like it can be overwhelming. So I want to teach them to be resourceful on their own. I just wrote this. I said,
yeah, and they also need to learn, for the future.
Right.
Like once you are at the workforce, you will not ask your boss every simple question. You first have to try to resolve it, and then if you really get like to the end, like you don't know, then you ask.
Right, exactly.
It's interesting. I asked because you had mentioned that some students don't reach out to you at all until like their assignment's not done. So I'm like, I don't know the answer to this question, but I wonder if there's a way for like ChatGPT to like quiz the student. Like, do you like to reach out to your professor? If yes, don't figure it out on your own. Well, if you don't like to reach out to your professor, do that because she wants to hear from you. You've been MIA. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
well, I just wrote
this. I think that push away the students even further who may not be. But I agree. Like, obviously, your capacity is very real.
And let's be honest, there are some students who will not even try to use this. They'll just skip over and message you anyway.
Right.
Okay, so I wrote down and I sent these instructions to our custom GPT, and I said, when giving students suggestions, please bear in mind my preference. Students should try to do everything they can before contacting me for help. So provide all options and ask them if they tried them before suggesting they reach out to me. And so it's giving me some like, here's what I'm going to try and do. That's the idea. So let's click update. And maybe that was the problem. Maybe that I needed to like send all this over to the bot. So now I'm updating and I'm going to view my GPT and I'm going to say, okay, I'm stuck on chapter 1 problems, whatever. What can I do? Okay. So now notice it's not saying email your professor. It's saying review the lecture materials, start with the textbook, class discussion. It does have office hours then as for tutoring study group. I feel like I should tell it, it's the last thing should always be to message you, but you could go back and do that. Okay. So Michaela, I know we're reaching the end of our hour, so I want to quickly show you what you could do if you don't end up, because I'm pretty sure custom GPTs are only a pro feature. Is that still true, Audrey? Do you know? Things change.
I think so, and I think here's one of the possible challenges right now is you also have to have a pro account to access custom GPTs.
Is that right?
Yes. However, I think that's changing right now with the new 4.0 rollout. So I think
it is. That was a big part of it.
Sooner. Yeah.
Like I
don't think it's fully live yet. So temporarily you might not be able to. And it's always important to make sure that you're testing these things to see, could my students do this with the free version or not? So that it's not an inhibitor, of course, for their learning.
Yeah, right. And I'm sure as a computer science person, like you can use the API if you ever really wanted to take this all the way. You could use the API to make calls and write your own programs.
Oh my gosh, please tell us about that.
Yeah, teach us how to do that. So a way to do it if you are just trying to do regular old GPT 4.0 is, this is how I do it if I was a student. This is how I would teach my students to do it. And I have taught my students how to do this. I literally go to the course syllabus and I do Command A to copy everything and Command A to select everything, and then Command C to copy everything. I know you couldn't see that, but I just copied everything that's in your syllabus. And what I tell GPT is, I'm about to paste in my course syllabus for a class I'm taking. Like, imagining I'm a student. Just say okay when you're done reading. And that means that it won't do any extra analysis. It's just going to take this all in. And you can see here it's all showing up, and it should just say, okay. There we go. Okay. Now, at this point, it's in the memory of this particular embedding, and students can ask questions. How many projects are in this class, for instance? And it should be able to tell us. Is this true? You'll let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And it's all design and implementation? That's the same project?
That's how it's.
If I had to allocate a certain number of hours to study for this class per week, including homework, what do you estimate? Right? Hopefully this will get them to think a little bit. One suggestion I have is to, instead of like demonstrating for them what the responses would be like, I would have them even in class, like play around with it and see what they get. That way you're not giving away, certain things, because this is
it may be a good exercise to actually study the syllabus. Like, instead of reading the syllabus in class, I can do this, and I can ask them questions, find out how many projects there are, and they have to.
I love it. Oh, a little scavenger
GPT.
hunt using GPT. I love that. Yeah. That's such a cool idea. Yeah. So you see that it's sort of doing a little breakdown here: 2 to 3 hours per class hour, 6 to 9 hours study time. Obviously it's a crude example, but now what's cool is like I would even have the student say, here's my other class schedule for the week, and here are appointments that I have, and here are all this other stuff. Tell me where I can fit in my study for this class, and it'll give them a time they can put on their calendar directly. Pretty cool idea.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So Kayla, as we wrap up here, I'm trying to find you. So frustrating when I can't find anything. I will find you. It's coming. There we are. Okay. So Michaela, tell us, what are some things you learned today? What are some things you're walking away with?
Yeah, I love what you showed me, and I think I am definitely going to try creating this resource for the students. I didn't know that you can upload like those files together with the syllabus and the links to the tutorials. So I think that's very helpful, because I can create this bot and then I can upload everything, and students don't need to go outside of the class at all. Like, they can just have everything in there, because they often go to YouTube to search for tutorials. And sometimes they find something that even confuses them even more, because they are beginners. So if you are a beginner and you are trying to watch a tutorial that includes information that you don't need, it confuses you more. So I have certain things that I want to suggest them, and I think this would be a great tool to create for them and include only what they need. So great. I think it was very useful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So considering where you came in at today, let's look at it on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being like I didn't know what I was doing, and 10 being now I'm like I could teach a class on it. What number did you start at today, and what number are you at now?
So I said 3. So maybe now 3.5 or 4. I feel like I definitely learned something.
Great, awesome. Well, thank you for being with us today. It was lovely having you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.